Hi, welcome to Positively Sparking, a podcast on internet marketing, online productivity and business. This month's podcast is the audio file from our free webinar for the month of August. This month, Joe takes us through the wonderful productivity app Slack and shows us how it can make a real difference to our business lives and teamwork. If you would like the video file to accompany this podcast, please go and join Joe's free Facebook group, Online Productivity Tools and Applications. Okay, there we go. Welcome everyone to today's webinar. Today we're going to sit back, listen to the dulcet tones of Jo as she talks us through Slack and all the amazing things she does with it every day. So without further ado, I shall hand over to Jo.
Thank you, Phil. I'm not sure whether I like the dulcet tones comment.
I don't even know what dulcet means. I just said that because people say it.
No, I don't either. Hello, everyone. Good to have some new people again on this webinar this month. My turn again. I can't remember when the last time Phil did a webinar, so next month, Phil, is your turn.
Next month is my turn. It wasn't that long ago. We've had a summer break, haven't we? So it feels a long time. But point taken.
Okay, so I'm going to try and I'm not going to switch back through to my presentation. I've written in the Facebook group, but I'm not going to do this. I've uploaded the slides to Slack. So if you're in the Slack group, you can see them in there. And if not, they're on the Facebook group. You can download them. So there isn't much on the slides, to be honest. So I'm just going to quickly flick through them now, just to show you what I'm going to go through. So first I'm going to obviously go through what Slack is and how it works. Then I'm going to go through the native Slack bots and commands, because there are quite a lot of those. And then I will go through some of the external app integrations that I've used, show you the many bots that you can integrate with Slack. Probably 90% I've not used myself. And then hopefully at the end, if we've got time, I'm going to try and show you how I use Slack on a daily basis to keep Phil in check with all his tasks. So if you have any questions throughout, if you want to ask them either in chat, in Zoom, or I've set up a questions channel in the Slack group, and I'll try and answer them as we go along if I spot them. If not, hopefully we can go through them at the end. So I'm not going to I'll go through the slides for the moment, and then we'll go into Slack and I'll share Slack with you. Okay, so Slack is basically brings all your communication together in one place. It's messaging, it's archiving, it's searching. Myself and Phil use it to communicate basically on a daily basis with tasks, with client discussions. We just don't really email each other now unless we're forwarding an email from a client, for example. So we do everything in Slack. So it's basically everything. We upload files in Slack. You can just have a chat in Slack. You can actually make calls through Slack. It's just everything in one thing. And that is the only app that I pretty much have open most of the day. And it's just notifying me constantly of all the notifications coming through. But it saves me having lots of emails in my inbox. And that's where I find it helps my productivity, is because I'm not getting as many emails as I would if I didn't use Slack. So basically that's kind of an overview of what Slack does. Until we go in there, you won't probably see how it works unless you've used Slack before. I mean, I don't know how many people have used Slack before. I know there's a few people in here that already use it. So okay, so I'm going to go into Slack now, because I can show you these native Slack bots and commands directly in there. As you can see here, there are different, just at the beginning, there are different the different commands that you use. If you're using Mac or Windows, you're going to have to use different shortcuts and things. I use a Mac, so if you're on Windows, you may need to look that up. later on. Okay, so I'm going to just share my Slack screen with you, and hopefully I'll have some people in there. Can everyone see my Slack?
Certainly can.
Brilliant. Okay, so this is the webinar channel that I've just set up this morning, just so I could upload the slides. As you can see, I've added everybody that's joined the Slack group to this channel, so everyone has access to these slides. When you upload a PDF, it's quite good because you don't have to download it. You can view it within Slack, which I find pretty cool. So literally, you just click on it and it comes up, hopefully. It will come up.
This is the slowness of video recording, isn't it?
Here's my presentation. Can you see this presentation now?
Sure can.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to close that now. My internet's deciding it's unstable again. So this is the webinar channel, and you can add more channels to Slack really easily by clicking on create new channel here at the top for various different things. So, for example, if I wanted to create a channel for favourite tools, you click on that, make a channel, and then you can put in there what it's about. I don't tend to bother. And then you can invite people to it, or you can make it a private channel, which means it can only be joined or viewed by invite. So, for example, if I just wanted to invite one person, it could be a private channel between us, like this. And the only thing with doing a private channel, you can't make it public after you've made it private. So you have to remember, if you're gonna make a channel private, you can't reverse that. So the general channel and the random channel, they're set up automatically when you open a Slack group. So they'll already be in there, and everybody that joins Slack will be added to these two channels. And as you can see, we've been chatting in the general channel this morning. And as you can see, there's lots of various things in here. We have reactions, which I use quite a lot. Phil probably gets annoyed with me with my reactions that I put on some of the messages. So how to do a reaction. On the message that you want to react to, you go along and then you've got this little smiley face with a plus next to it. You click on that and it brings up all the emoticons that you could possibly need. So yeah, be careful which one you choose. And you just choose. And it's just another way that I find it's quicker than replying. If you just want to say okay, if you just want to say yeah, that's fine. A reaction is a lot easier than typing it. I do a lot of that. It's one of the things that I like to do. To switch between channels easily, if you've got a lot of channels which go all the way down the Slack sidebar, which we do when I'm working with Phil, it's very easy to jump to a new channel by clicking Command on a Mac and K, and it comes up with a little search button where you can type in the name of the channel, and it will just take you straight there. So it's like a quick route rather than scrolling down lots. I mean, we don't have many channels in the new one, but yeah, that's really useful. And to find all the keyboard shortcuts for a Mac, you click Command and /, and for Windows, I think it's Control and /. So Command and /, and it'll bring up all the keyboard shortcuts for your system. So if you're on Mac or Windows, you can see in here there's lots of keyboard shortcuts. And to be honest, I don't use a lot of them just because I'm not very good at remembering them. So the Command and K I use quite a lot to switch between channels. obviously there's another one that I use, which is called, where is it on here? No, I can't find it. But there is, the emoji thing. So you can click, I'm going to come out of this, and you click. Hopefully this will work now. No, it didn't work. That's not the one I normally use. Anyway, back to the keyboard shortcuts. If you have got a good memory and you can remember all these will make you really productive. But I don't have a very good memory, so what I've been doing is I've been kind of learning a couple at a time, and then eventually they sink in. But Command K is my favourite one to jump through the channels. Okay, lots more to get through. So another thing that I do to remind myself of a message that I need to action is star them. So, for example, if I star Caroline's message here, that means it's saved, so that I can click on the star button at the top here, and it will bring up all the starred messages down the side. So every morning I come in onto my Slack and have a look at all my starred messages, so to make sure that I've covered everything that I was meant to do. And then once I've done it, I unstar it. Am I being heard okay, Phil? Just my internet seems to be
perfectly so.
Crashing.
You're coming across loud.
Okay, I'm just checking. I'm not sure whether anyone else is getting the message that comes up. Your internet is unstable. Okay, so apart from starring messages, you can actually star a channel, which I've done in my Slack group with Phil. Because we have so many channels, I've kind of clicked my favourites. And the way you do that is literally just when you're in the channel, at the top here under the name, you can star the channel. And then it comes up in a favourites list at the top. So, for example, I can make all of these starred. So I know, so all the busy channels that I need to check on every day, they're all up here, and then all the rest you can hide them, or they'll just get pushed to the bottom. And the same as people as well. You can star people with the same way by starring them just under their name, and then it comes up in your starred list at the top, which I find really useful if the Slack group is really busy and you've got lots of channels. I'd like somebody to I'm not sure whether this is gonna work. There's a command which is good if you're posting a lot of media into Slack. I'm not sure that it's going to work in my webinar channel where I've posted these. If you've got a lot of GIFs, maybe you can put GIFs in Slack, documents, images. Then to collapse them so that they don't all show up there, you just type / and collapse, and hopefully enter, and all those images and previews collapse. And then to expand them again, you just type expand, and they come back. That's useful if you've got a channel full of imagery or previews or something. I find that really useful. Okay, so some simple things that I've not been through yet is if you want to tag a certain person, all you need to do is very similar to if you're on Twitter, for example. You just put Arabas and then the person, for example. And then you can ask them a question, and then they will get a notification of your message, which is good if you need to get their attention. Because if you're just typing in a channel and not mentioning anybody, then they may not realise you want to speak to them. So mentioning people is really useful. And I do that a lot with Phil because sometimes he misses me chatting. So whenever it's an important thing, I always tag him. So hopefully he'll check it. Okay. Okay, one of the things that I found this week, not this week, in the last couple of weeks, which has been really useful, is the remind command. If you click on the / button, it brings you up all the commands here that you can use. And I've not used many of these before, but the remind one I have been using a lot recently. So you click remind, and you can either remind yourself about something. So, for example, I'll remind myself to have a drink of water. And then you put when, today at 11:30 a.m. And then it should, it's not doing anything. Oh, there we go. Slackbot comes up and says it will remind me to have a drink at 11:30. And then it will remind you, so it will come up with a reminder. And you can remind other people by tagging them. So let's tag Phil. Stop recording on Zoom at, you're an hour behind me. So there we go. So, and you can view all your reminders by clicking here, view reminders. And I found that really good, especially for reminding other people, but also reminding me of things that I need to do. So yeah, that's one of my top tips, a reminders command, which I have only just found recently. I'm just having a look because some of the things that I want to go through are within the kind of settings of Slack. So I'm going to go through to the settings. So if you click on at the very top, drop down and click, you can click any of these things. But for example, the preferences will take you in here, and you can change your notifications, which is really handy. So if you've got a group where you're not really a big part of, and you don't need to be checking everything, you can change it to this, which is just direct messages, mentions and keywords. And then you can set up a keyword to be mentioned, so you get a sort of a notification. So I don't know, I'm going to put lunch in there. So if anyone mentions lunch, I'll get a notification. So you can set up as many keywords in there as possible that you want to be notified for, and then change it rather than seeing all messages. And that's what I've done in some of the client Slack groups that I'm on, because I don't need to know absolutely everything. So that's a good thing. So we've got some things here that we can change in Slack itself. Lots of different customization, the sidebar, like different colours. So all of these sort of things you should probably go through at the beginning. But then it will take you out to, if you click on customize Slack, it takes you to, I'm going to have to share another screen here. Sorry, I'm just being attacked by my dog as well. Okay, so it comes to your, you can customize your team, so you can do all these sort of things, like choose extra emojis. You can also edit Slackbot responses as well. There's so many things you can customize, and this is just with the free account as well. So it's really good that you can do that many things. Just going to quickly have a look at my list of things that I wanted to go through with you. I think my internet has slowed down quite a bit. Okay, so when you have a team, when you have other people in your Slack channel, you can control everything. to do with the team. So, for example, default channels, you can make default channels. So the general one's always default, and then you can add extra ones in there if you want them to join it automatically. You can choose how people have their usernames, lots and lots of things down there. And I still can't find the bit that I wanted to show you. Okay, we'll skip on then to the next part. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Slack. Another good command that I've used recently as well is if you want to quickly say that you're not here. So, for example, if you just need to nip out and it's not planned, if you click / and away, it will mark you as away on Slack. And when you're back, you can put active. Marks you active. And then there's also the do not disturb command, which is DND. And then you can put on there until 11:30 a.m. And then that's set for do not disturb for 6 minutes. It's nearly 11:30 for me. So that's good. That's good if you've not planned to be away. When we move on to the integrations, I'll tell you about the bot that we use, or I think Phil uses as well now, that I spoke to about on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. That's useful for planned time away. Okay. Do we have any questions so far, or am I covering too much? Not enough?
It's all good, Joe. I'm learning loads as well. Just let everyone know that I can unmute them.
So, no questions so far then? Everyone's understanding me?
I think so. We can fire on.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so the other thing you can do in Slack, apart from all the native commands and bots, the Slack bot, for example, you can add apps. And these are really good if you want something specific to happen in Slack. And one of the ones that me and Phil have been using recently is called BusyBot. And I've not added it onto here, and I'm not sure how long it's going to take to add it on here. So I'm just going to click on Browser Apps to try and show you some of the ones that we can install. So if you can scroll down here, and there are so many apps. Here's BusyBot here. So I'm just going to share my screen about what it does. Okay, so this is BusyBot, which myself and Phil have been using in our Slack channel, and it's basically a to-do task list. So rather than using something different like Todoist, like we've been using in the past, or Asana, you can use BusyBot within Slack, and all you would need to do is a command, and it's literally /BusyBot, and then you would assign the task to yourself or to to a different person, and it's like it's like kind of like a project management tool within Slack, which we found really useful, and because it's so quick. I'm wondering whether I can show you it in action, but I don't know how quick it will be set up, so I'm going to install it and see what happens.
If you would like to, Joe, just set a random task on our channel.
Yeah, no, I'm just seeing if it's quick. I don't think I had to do any settings. I think it was literally just
It's appeared.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether it would appear. So, for example, a command I could use BusyBot, and then I can say, put the dogs in the garden on the next webinar. And then I can tag myself, I think. Press enter. And then it will come up here with the task. Only I can see this. So if I tag somebody else in this, tag a task for somebody else, they won't see all this information here, but they will get the task. So I can set the due date, and I can set other things in the actions here. So I can add a comment or subtasks, I can label it, and then that task is then in BusyBot. So if I click on that task, I'm going to share. Sorry, everyone, it's a bit slow. And this is what BusyBot looks like. So it's like a project management tool within Slack. So you can do all the assigning in Slack, and then every now and again you can come in here and look to see what tasks you've got or what you've assigned everyone else. And I've just found it really, really useful, especially for assigning tasks to Phil. So you can see them. And then I can set reminders with him with the remind command, and remind him about the tasks. I'm sorry, everyone, my dogs are now fighting.
They're part of the show, Joe. That's the way it should be.
And the cat's just woken up, so it's going to be like a zoo in here now. Okay, so that's BusyBot, and all the apps that you install are down here. Another one that I've been using on my own channel is called MailClerk, and this is one of the ones that I spoke on the podcast about. And what it does is you connect it to your Twitter and Facebook accounts, and it will message. So can anybody hear my dogs?
I can.
I'm not going to shout on the webinar, but yeah. Oh dear. The MailClerk will message you when you get a mention on Twitter. So, MailClerk. MailClerk is useful if you're not on Twitter all the time and checking your mentions, because it will automatically send through mentions to you, so you can reply and you can like them, you can retweet within Slack as well. So, but the only downside of MailClerk is you can only get, I think, 50 mentions per month. So if you wanted more than that, you'd have to do the paid version of the bot, because some of these are free, some of these are paid, or they have different versions. Like BusyBot you can have for free, but you can also pay to get extra features. As well as the two that I use, you can also add other apps such as Todoist. So I can actually assign tasks to myself using Todoist, because I've got that hooked up to the Slack channel, which is really useful for me because I don't particularly use BusyBot for my own tasks. Another one is MailChimp, and that's good because you can have MailChimp message you in a separate channel if somebody subscribes to your list or unsubscribes to your list. You can see when campaigns go out. So you can set that up in lots of different ways. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to show you MailChimp because it would involve logins. and things. But let's just see what the it's not going to come up on there. MailChimp. So yeah, you can receive updates when people subscribe or unsubscribe, see the status of a campaign. So that's really useful if you use MailChimp. I mean, if you don't use MailChimp, then it's not much good. But I think they have other apps on there similar to MailChimp, so possibly Aweber and some of the others. So while we're on here, I can show you, this is the app directory for Slack. And sometimes I go on here and I look at some of the new ones to see if any look like they might be useful. I mean, especially in the productivity area. I'm going to have a look at this one, what Stand Up Bot does. You could add so many bots to Slack. You just need to choose the ones that are going to help you, basically. This seems like a daily task one again. We have one of those. So you can see here, this is MailClerk that I've used. I mean, and a lot of them don't really have names relevant to what they do, which makes it even more difficult. So a good thing to do is to look down the categories on the side and see what apps you're going to get. You have Trello, Google Calendar, all the big ones, and Zapier, or Zapier as Phil pronounces it. So you could probably have loads and loads more integrations if you put Zapier on there. There's just hundreds. You could go through these all day. So let's go back to Slack. Down here. So another couple of apps that would be good to integrate with Slack is Google Drive or Dropbox, or both. That means that you can insert directly from Google Drive or Dropbox. So here, for example, if you click on the plus button, this is where you can upload things. So you can upload it from your computer, from Google Drive. You can create a post, which I do sometimes if I've got a lot of information to put in. I create a post, and then you've got Google Docs file. You can do it directly in Slack, and you can even put code in there as well. I'm just going to have a look to see what this does. Okay, so it will create a sheet within the channel, and then you can work on it there. I've not used Dropbox on Slack personally. Sometimes when I put a Dropbox link in there, it will say, do you want to add this from Dropbox? I'm just going to put a link in there and see what it says. No, I can't. I don't have any links. So yeah, that's the bot side of things. And I think the next section was to go on about how I use it on a daily basis, but I think I've covered that as I've gone through. So do we have any questions at this point? Because there isn't really anything else I've got down to show you, unless you've got any questions, and then I can cover it again if I've not covered something enough.
So if anyone who wants to ask a question, just put a quick message in the live chat and I'll put you live so you can ask Joe something. Joe, one question I've got is, how do you think Slack has changed things from pre-Slack in our world to now?
Just between us, or in general?
In general.
in general? I think it's difficult because even though it reduces the amount of emails you're getting, it can take up quite a lot of your day if you're not careful. So I don't think if you use it correctly and you're using all the commands and things in Slack to make your day more productive, then it's brilliant. But if you just go on there and chat all day and just spend all your day in there, you're not going to be very productive. It's no different to having emails to reply to, really. And I think it's very much on the same level as Messenger, Facebook Messenger, and WhatsApp. You could easily get carried away, so you have to be quite strict with yourself and use it as a productivity tool, and remember that it's a productivity tool.
Sure. Yeah, and so don't get lost in the conversation all the time and not get anything done. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
I mean, for example, in my time tracking app that I have running in the background, when I look at that sometimes, I think, oh dear, I've spent too much time in Slack. It's kind of switched from a lot of time in email to a lot of time in Slack. So it really depends, how you use it.
Yeah, Helen's just kind of bouncing off that. She's saying the main benefit for her is keeping everything in one place.
Yeah.
It's not spread across email and everything else. And
exactly. Exactly.
Alison is asking, she says, you missed the very start, but did you integrate all your different email accounts?
I've not integrated any of my email accounts, actually. So I've not actually done that because I don't use Gmail, and Gmail is the easiest one to integrate. So integrating my email accounts doesn't really work for me. So no, sorry.
Yeah. Because then you would have everything coming into Slack as well, wouldn't you? You'd have your email flying in there, and maybe one of the points is to move away from that email kind of introduction and flow.
Yes, you can actually use MailClerk for your email. So that app, that bot that I've got in my own Slack, you can use that for emails, but you have to, and I did try it out for a couple of days, but you have to ensure you're not getting a load of spam on that email, because I ended up with just Slack full of spam. Because when I'm using my Mac mail, I have a spam filter on it. So I'm not seeing it; it's just being directed away. But when it's going into Slack, it's not being filtered away. So
yeah, that's fair enough. And I know for me, the one benefit is speed.
Yeah.
So whereas before, even just opening another app, so we have Todoist as well, don't we? That we use quite a lot. And I find that BusyBot has moved me away from Todoist, just simply by being not another thing to open.
Yeah.
It definitely benefited us that way.
Yeah.
And Alison is also saying that she was recently at a talk about GDPR regulations, and they warned about using free tools that could be classed as a data security risk. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I've not read up too much on this because I think is it currently a UK thing or is it an EU thing? And I've only just heard about it recently. So it's not, obviously, with everything you do, for example, on Facebook with the apps, that people click on them to see who they're going to marry, and those sort of stupid little app things, that's going to have exactly the same effect as well with the whole privacy thing, so and security. So yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're using something like MailChimp or Todoist or one of those main bots, then you would hope that those companies would be dealing with that regulation stuff within those apps. But the other ones, for the less well known ones, it could be a problem. Yeah,
definitely. Now, Alison's just reminding us there that these new regulations come into force next May, so May 2018. And one thing we will do is a webinar on how that changes email marketing as we get closer to the time. And we'll go.
Definitely.
Helen's just saying that she thinks basically Slack is for internal communication, email should be for external stuff. That's a pretty good way of looking at it. We do have a couple of clients that are on Slack as well, though, don't we?
We do, yeah. It's. I think, and I've got another client who I use Slack with, and I find it a lot easier to work with him in Slack, because otherwise I'd get long emails from him every day. And whereas in Slack, I can quickly and for some reason the length of the emails aren't as long in Slack. You kind of shorten what you're saying. So in some ways, yeah, a lot of external stuff comes to me on email, but I try and do client work in Slack now. Yeah, makes sense. It does.
So I know that we have Amy here with us in the webinar, and I just wanted to ask Amy how she has found Slack. I believe being quite new to it and working on it, kind of because we asked her to. How has that been?
Are you going to unmute Amy or not?
If she wants to be, she's more than welcome to be unmuted. Amy, would you like to be unmuted and talk live? Okay, let's put her on. She's going to ask you a question. There we go.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Amy.
Hello. Yeah, I'd used Slacks before, but I did not know most of the functionality. And then using it with you guys is so simple. I really enjoy using it. Having the BusyBot just to go to a place to see all of the tasks, very, very helpful. And it's just a smooth process.
That's good to know. That is good to know. So what have you been asked to use prior to Slack? What do most people ask you to work from? Is it email or
email?
Something else? Yeah.
Yeah, it was all email.
Great.
And then I had tasks through Asana as well. So email messages, and then they'd set me a task through Asana.
Got you. Yeah. And what about comparing Asana with Slack?
I prefer Slack.
There we go.
I do prefer Slack.
That's good to know. There we are. Good stuff.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Thank you very much, Amy.
No problem.
You can integrate Asana in Slack as well, which I tried for a bit, but because I didn't really get on with, I used to use Asana a lot and I really liked it, and then Phil brought me over to Todoist, and then I liked Todoist better, and then couldn't really get back on with Asana. So, but yeah, they have an integration in Slack as well. So it's you can find an integration for pretty much everything.
Definitely. I know one thing I found that I really like about Slack is that there are Slack channels for kind of more social groups or other things that are not productivity related.
Mm-hmm.
So one I found was a group here in Cornwall called Cornwall Geeks. And it's literally a group full of developers who don't work together, but are all based in and around Cornwall. And they just discuss cool things they're working on. Whatever else, and have little meetups every now and then. So I think that's why Slack's become a really interesting platform, because it's moved out into the world beyond productivity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and there's another group which I've not joined. I think you have to pay to join, called Remotive, and that's the actual company. And there's a lot of remote workers, and they have thousands and thousands on their Slack group. I dread to think how that is to manage when you've got that many people on there.
Yeah, it wouldn't be fun.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to moderate that group. I mean, I have a job moderating a couple of Facebook groups I've got, but if I had thousands and thousands of people on a Slack group, I think I'd need to do it as a day job, moderation.
It is, no doubt. So any more questions from anyone? I think we're all good.
Okay, well, thank you very much for attending. I hope my dog's fighting didn't ruin it for anybody. And and obviously, if you've got any other questions, we've now got the Slack group. I'm hoping that it will take off. So what I'm going to do in the next few days is set up a landing page so everyone can, I'll share that in the group so people can sign up for the Slack group if you've missed to sign up for this webinar.
My name is Phil Byrne, and I'd like to thank you so much for listening today. I hope you got something really good to take away from this week's episode for you or your business. And you know what? I'd like to give you something more. In fact, I'd like to give you a whole free web marketing pack full of all my latest and best ideas on how you can take your business forward positively online. Download your pack at positivesparks.co.uk/pack, and most of all, guys, look forward to seeing you again next week.